G-Man Boxing. Do you know what I mean? Every single live he donates. I see him on other lives donating. He's got the bag on it.
Alright, people. Fight week for Amir Khan versus Kell Brook. And I've got to say, I am looking forward to this fight. Ever since they talked about it, I mean, when they talked about it originally, back a couple of months ago, I was kind of like, meh. I was just like, Then they announced it. And I got to admit, by then it kind of hit me and I was like, actually, no, I want to watch this fight. I know both guys are probably over the hill, it's fair to say. They're both 35 years old, but they're not exactly fresh for that age. You know, there are plenty of 35-year-olds. I think your Danish Ugas is up near 35 if he's not close to it, who's a lot fresher. They haven't had the kind of punishment throughout their career that these two guys have. Obviously, I would have loved to have seen this fight when both guys were kind of in their peak, which was kind of 2014, 2015, back when Kell Brook was IBF champion. That to me was the ideal time to make it. It didn't happen then, it's happening now. I watched the gloves are off last night between Amir Khan and Kell Brook, and I gotta say, one of the better gloves are offs that I've seen. I enjoyed it. Amir Khan is hilarious. You know, he is. If this is his last fight, if this is both these guys' last fight, I'll miss both of them. But Amir Khan is just entertaining. He really is. You could tell that he was enjoying being there. He was enjoying getting under Kell Brook's skin, winding him up in what little ways he can. The scene where Kell Brook is saying, you know, why don't you respect me? I went to America, I won a world. And Amir Khan just goes, and you went to America, you won a world title. Well done. I respect that. It just goes back to Kell Brook's face, and he just doesn't know what to say. It was fun. You do get the impression that Kell Brook is really Amir Khan is really winding Kell Brook up, and Kell Brook seems to be taking that bait. That would make you wonder, would he fight a little bit more reckless than we're used to seeing Kell Brook? You know, when Kell Brook is at his peak, tremendous boxer puncher, great counter puncher, you know, doesn't really tend to, you know, fight super recklessly anyway. But if he's really got a chip on his shoulder going into this fight, looking for something to prove, could he potentially, you know, fight recklessly early on, which I think early on is going to be key for both guys. So I'm going to get into what I think both guys need to do to win this fight. For Amir Khan is known throughout his career, always been a fast starter, always been known to let the combinations go, normally does tend to drop guys early, so when he's not the biggest puncher in the world, certainly not at 147. Obviously this fight's taking place at 149 pounds, still to me that favours Amir Khan heavily. Kell Brook in his last fight at 147, he's always spoke about how doing 147 is not straightforward for him. Obviously in his last fight was at 147 against Terence Crawford. He looked absolutely shocking on the scales, and it told in the fight. His timing was okay in that fight. You know, he was still able to have success boxing with Terence Crawford, but the minute a semi-decent shot came in, the punch resistance was just gone. And I don't think at 149 pounds it's going to be much better. Yes, when you're cutting that amount of weight that Kell Brook is, and he's cutting a lot more weight than Khan, an extra 2 pounds, it'll help you, certainly, but Kell Brook probably needs an extra 4 pounds, 5 pounds to really probably be close to optimum. So 149 pounds, it still favours Amir Khan. In terms of rehydration clause, I've heard rumours about it, nothing confirmed, but if there is, and say it's for a specific amount of weight, maybe 10% of your body weight, or 10% you can rehydrate more, I don't know. But if there is, again, it favours Amir Khan, and it's another obstacle for Kell Brook that he's going to have to get over, because having to weigh in at 149, it's not going to help Kell Brook. It's still going to be an ask, even though it's only 2 pounds is still 2 pounds. When you're cutting a lot of weight, yes, it is a lot, but it could still be a big ask for him. And if there's a rehydration clause on top of that, it's a big ask for Kell Brook. You're Amir Khan. You're known for being a fast starter. Kell Brook in his last fight, his punch resistance looked shocking. Kell Brook definitely, Amir Khan definitely hits hard enough early on to bother Kell Brook. You know, they do say time negates speed. Kell Brook has great timing, but early on, you do tend to see a lot of time with Amir Khan opponents. They can get overwhelmed by the speed. They can get overwhelmed by the combinations. They need to acclimatise to that speed. Once they do, that's when you start to see Amir Khan getting timed. Now, Terence Crawford was able to get just the two quite well in their fight. Was able to put Amir Khan down in the first round. Terence Crawford is much sharper, fresher, even still now, than Kell Brook is. So I wonder, will Kell Brook struggle with that early on? Yes, Kell Brook's been known to be a fast starter in his own right, but I just feel as though the speed and power of Amir Khan early on is going to cause Kell Brook issues. And to be honest with you, if you're Amir Khan, likelihood is his best chance to win this fight is probably to win it early. It's probably to put it on Kell Brook quite early, look to hurt him, look to get him in trouble, and if he can drop Kell Brook early, if he can get him in trouble, if he can step on the gas and finish Kell Brook off, there's a good chance he'll be able to early on, especially, again, if Kell Brook is sufficiently weakened from having to cut, how much weight he has to cut. If there is potentially a rehydration clause in it, potentially, then, all this could pose more issues for Kell Brook. So you're Amir Khan. You're looking to get going early, get working fast, let the combinations go. If you're Kell Brook, although you're known for being, reasonably a quick starter, it might benefit Kell Brook to try and see if he can weather an early storm from Amir Khan, because Amir Khan does tend to slow down as fight goes on, as most fighters do, but Amir Khan can noticeably slow down during a fight. All right, the body attack. Danny Garcia went to Amir Khan's body. So did Lamont Pearson, although he never was able to drop Amir Khan. But Canelo Alvarez especially, when he went to Amir Khan's body, that's when you were able to slow Amir Khan down, and that's when the head was able to then follow. If you look at the Danny Garcia fight, Danny Garcia pretty much, up until he got the knockout, or the first knockdown I should say, he was pretty much going to Amir Khan's body. He was hitting Amir Khan's body, he wasn't really focusing on the head. And Amir Khan eventually, after a while, he brought his hands down. Also with Amir Khan, you can punch with him. So the Danny Garcia knockdown, it came from an exchange. Danny Garcia was able to punch with Amir Khan, was able to land that left hook, dropped Amir Khan, and he never recovered. For the rest of the fight, he was taking a sustained beat until the referee, I think it was Kenny Bayless, stopped it. Now, Kell Brook's hooks aren't... Kell Brook's not really an inside fighter, but I'm sure he'll be able to punch with Amir Khan. He has got a decent uppercut, as we saw. Certainly we used it in the Triple G fight to great effect. He can uppercut, and he's got a great straight right hand. One thing Amir Khan has always been good at getting away from is the southpaw left hand, but the orthodox right hand, he does tend to get found with that a lot more. You'll see Amir Khan when he's in there with southpaws. Look at some of the southpaws, like Devin Alexander is a very good example. Was able to just negate everything Alexander was doing. Didn't come close to getting... Now, Alexander's not the biggest puncher in the world, but never came close to getting tagged by him, anything like that. And, was able to coast through. You see, although this is a bit different, but when he was able to fight Louis Collazo, when Collazo was putting pressure on him and Amir Khan was in the zone in that fight, because Amir Khan normally struggled with pressure, he was able to find Louis Collazo no problem, put him down several times and win comfortably. When the straight shots come in, for example, against Chris Algieri, not a noted puncher, he was a lot fresher back then when he fought Amir Khan, but he was having great success landing straight right hands. Now, he was bullying Amir Khan, he was kind of turned pressure fighter in that fight, but a lot of the times he was able to rock Amir Khan came from right hands. The first round he rocked him with a straight right hand. I think it was the fourth or the fifth round in that fight as well. He was able to land another counter right hand on Amir Khan, and this is Chris Algieri, not a big puncher. He wasn't putting Amir Khan down, but he was definitely rocking him. You could see Amir Khan, he was noticeably shaking a couple of times in the Algieri fight. So your Kell Brook, if you can acclimatise to that speed, when Amir Khan's speed does eventually diminish, which it will do in this fight, I suspect if it goes long anyway, then that's when you have opportunities to be able to get your chocolate brownie, as he calls it, off, landed on Amir Khan. Kell Brook hits hard enough to knock Amir Khan out. I mean, if Chris Algieri can buzz you, Kell Brook's going to knock you out. Simple as. Kell Brook, even now, still probably a tremendous puncher. So still hits way hard enough to be able to buzz Amir Khan, hurt him. Saying that, Amir Khan, I reckon, likewise. I reckon he can buzz and hurt Kell Brook just as well. And it really is a case of... Amir Khan's always shown really poor survival instincts. I know against Maidana he showed quite good instincts, but for the most part, not great. Like against Canelo was a one-punch knockout, but against Garcia... there was nothing he could do. He was on his bike and he couldn't do anything to survive that. Same against Lamont Peter, or was it Lamont Peterson? No, it was Reyes Prescott when he got knocked out by him. Again, that was one big shot that he got caught with a hook, never recovered. Against, as I said, Maidana was able to show good recovery skills, getting through that 10th round. But for the most part, he's normally a guy where if you get him hurt, you can do damage to Amir Khan. So Kell Brook, my advice to Kell Brook would be, he's going to come out fast, and that's what I think is going to happen. Amir Khan's going to come out fast. You're going to want to just cope with what's going to happen, try and tuck up, try and see if you can punch with him, because he is open in the exchange. So if you can punch with Amir Khan whenever you get a chance, try that, but be wary about what's coming back. Go to Amir Khan's body. Does not like it to the body. If you start hitting him to the body enough, he does tend to redden as well. You saw that with Canelo. When Canelo was hitting him to the body, he was starting to redden on one side. Does tend to redden on the body. Doesn't like it. Bring his hands down, and then once you've kind of got more acclimatized to the speed, you kind of know the angles a bit better, he will slow down. That's when he's open to be countered, right? In terms of Amir Khan, jump on Kell Brook early on. I'm telling you now, that really does seem to be Amir Khan's best strategy. If I was in his corner, I'd be saying, look what happened in the Crawford fight. Get on him early on. He does appear to be a bit vulnerable. We don't know how easy he made this weight, because again, it's over a year since he last fought. See how you get on. Let the combinations go early. You've dropped plenty of guys to head and body, and to Kell Brook's body as well, because Kell Brook's body, I mean, Jesus, how many times has he made 147? How many times has he ballooned in between fights? So that body is going to be like probably paper at this stage. So focus, if you're Amir Khan, combinations, head and body, and honestly try and get Kell Brook out of there early. You're Kell Brook, you're going to want to do the opposite. You're going to want to survive the early goings and look to try and time Amir Khan late. Set it up between going to the body and then moving it up the head. That's what I think both guys should do. I could see a scenario where both guys are down multiple times throughout different courses of the fight. Wouldn't shock me if Kell Brook went down early. Wouldn't shock me if Amir Khan went down mid-rounds. Also wouldn't shock me if either man went down late on in the fight. Seriously, that's the kind of fight I think we're going to get. I think the fact that both these guys are not near their prime anymore, both these guys are, definitely on the decline. I think that, in all honesty, this fight is going to catch fire. In fact, I'd be very, very surprised if we come from this fight on Saturday with anything less than an entertaining fight. I'd be very surprised if we're talking about it in the post-fight saying, that wasn't a great fight. I think we're going to be saying this was a fun fight. And there is a rematch clause in place, so if it does well, and if Kell Brook wins, but it's a competitive fight and it's fun, I'm sure Amir Khan would run it back, especially if there's big money on the line. And I'm sure Kell Brook would, vice versa. I'm sure both guys would. And said that, I got to give a pick on this fight. People have been asking me my opinion. Look, if we were talking 2014, 2015 Kell Brook wins by knockout. He walks Amir Khan onto something, he takes him out. It's not 2015 anymore. It's 2022. Both guys have aged. Both guys have shown signs of decline. Now it's a different fight. I've been going back and forth in my head repeatedly on who I think is going to win the fight, but I'm giving a pick. I gotta say who I think is going to be in it. I think we're going to see a stoppage. I don't think this fight's going to points. I think we're seeing a stoppage. My pick for this fight, Amir Khan, late stoppage. I think he'll get to Kell Brook late. I think he'll drop him early. I think we'll go into a stage of this fight where it's actually quite competitive. We may see Amir Khan hit the deck, or certainly at least get buzzed. But I think he'll regroup. And I just feel as though Kell Brook at this stage, making 149, which is not far off 147, I think that might be the slayer. I think that might be Kell Brook's slayer. I think if Amir Khan, because we have seen as well, especially in the Vargas fight, where he got slowed down early on, or he was fast early on, slowed down midway, but towards the end he did start to get a second wind, and I wonder if we'll see that in this fight. My pick is Amir Khan to win this fight. I'm hoping to do a live watch along. I might even do it up in the bedroom instead, get laptops and all set up, but we'll watch the space with that. But we're looking to do a live watch along for this fight. I'm intrigued by it. The undercard is crap, but the main event is the fight I want to watch. I want to know your thoughts in the comments section. Who do you have? Khan, Brook? Let me know in the comments. Let me know what your thoughts are on my preview of this fight, on what I think should happen. Amir Khan start early, maybe get rid of Kell Brook late. Kell Brook survive the storm early on, go to body, try and punch with Amir Khan, try and walk him onto something mid-rounds. That's what I think both guys need to do. Pick an Amir Khan to win. Let me know in the comment section your thoughts. Lads and lassies, I'll leave you with that. Hope you enjoyed it. Smash the like button if you could. Again, I'm looking forward to this fight. I know most people were saying at the start they weren't, but I'd like to know now what your thoughts are. Whether you're like, yeah, I'm interested, I'm watching this fight. Let me know in the comment section. I'll talk to you, lads and lassies. Peace.